Hello guys and welcome back to Carabao Cup predictions. Sophie, it's round 3. It's getting a little bit interesting.
Yeah, there's some bigger teams in it and I like the underdogs, to be honest. I always hope they go far.
Yes, it's really interesting. We've got a mix of Premier League, Championship, League 1 and League 2 teams involved. And most of the games are this week, but there are a few games next week in the Carabao Cup as well because of the Champions League being on this week. We're going to predict all 16 of them, so we're going to get into this quickly. Before we do that, Sophie, let's go for a like target, which is over 2,000.
2,300.
2,300 likes. Take 2 seconds to hit that thumbs up button. The predictions videos have been getting some great support from you guys, so please keep it up. Drop a like. Make sure to subscribe if you are new around here. If we could get to 76,000 this week, that would be amazing. And without any further ado, Sophie, let's get into the predictions. And we start with Stoke City versus Fleetwood. And Stoke City, some big news today.
Just like their manager.
They've just parted ways with Schumacher, which is interesting because I don't think Stoke have been disastrous so far in the Championship.
And I wonder who they're going to get in. They must have their eyes on someone to sack their manager.
I heard they're sniffing around Norwich City, I think one of their coaches.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah, they've won 2 and lost 3 in the league, so, you know, they've been all right. Fleetwood are a strong League 2 team. They just won against Carlisle at the weekend. I'm thinking it's difficult now because Stoke haven't got a manager. Let's go for Stoke to win by 1 goal. Stoke 2, Fleetwood 1, but it's very difficult to predict that.
Yeah, there could be a new manager bounce or a no manager bounce, so I'm going to say 2-0 Stoke. I think Fleetwood will be in the game. Yeah, because I'm wondering if Stoke maybe won't put out their best 11 to start with. I think they'll have a lot of quality on the bench because when you're playing a team a few leagues below you, you think we should be winning this one, really. So you could rest a few key players, but I still think their 11 that they'll put out will be enough to get it over the line. So I'm going to say 2-0 to the Potters. 2-0,
yeah, both going for Stoke City to get through. Share your thoughts. Can any of you see the upset for Fleetwood Town there? Let us know. Next up, Soph, we go to Bloomfield Road, where it's Blackpool versus Sheffield Wednesday. It's a Steve Bruce derby because Steve Bruce is now at Blackpool and he was, of course, at Sheffield Wednesday. He's been everywhere. Interesting this, they both were involved in games with late goals at the weekend. Blackpool had a late equaliser go in against Exeter and then they snatched it in the 94th minute, whereas Sheffield Wednesday, they scored in, the 95th minute with Barry Bannon, and then what a terrible goal to concede. It was like playground football.
Seen, honestly.
Everyone was kicking each other's shins, they were all chasing the ball.
I couldn't see the ball for like 3 minutes.
No, I don't know what happened there. So Sheffield Wednesday will be a bit frustrated with what happened at the weekend. Interesting match this. Let's go both teams to score. Sheffield Wednesday on penalties after a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, do you know what? I think this could be a good game, to be honest. I'm going to give Blackpool a goal, but I actually think the away side is going to nick it in 90 minutes. I'm going to say Sheffield Wednesday 2-1. They're going to do it for me. Yeah. I know they've not had the best start to the season, but I think they do have enough quality, whether they're rested players or not, to get through this tie in 90. So it's going to be close, but I can see them doing it.
Yeah, there you go. We're both going for Sheffield Wednesday to get through, but I think it could be interesting. Okay, next up we go down to London. It is a London derby. It's Brentford versus Leyton Orient. It would be fantastic to see Leyton Orient get a win here. One upset and they'd be into round 4. They did win at the weekend away at Reading. It's their first win in League 1. Whereas Brentford, Sophie, they've been good this season.
I think they have. In the Premier League, they've looked solid.
Yeah.
Against like top teams as well. It's not like they've just played some of the lower teams in the division where you expect them to win. They've been putting in some good performances against really good teams. Yeah,
and you did predict them to lose 2-1 at Man City, which they did too.
And as you said, like I think you said in the predictions video, that's not a bad scoreline against Man City. I know you've not got any points from it, but ultimately your goal difference hasn't taken a hit, and you've still made an account for yourself, and they went 1-0 up as well. Yeah. So a little bit frustrating, but still good.
I think this will be a good game. I'm going to give Leighton Orient a goal.
Okay.
I want them to get a goal at least, but I think Brentford's quality will be too much. 3-1.
Oh, see, I'm going 3-0. I think they'll keep a clean sheet as well. I think the massive difference between the two teams is going to be very apparent on the day. I would love for there to be an upset. I just don't see it happening in this game.
Yeah, okay, yeah, do share your thoughts on that one, guys. It's a London derby. There are a few League 1 and League 2 teams left. Can any of them cause an upset? Next up, Soph, This is an interesting one. It's an all Premier League matchup between Everton and Southampton. It's the only two teams in the Premier League that are pointless so far. They've got no points to show for themselves. It's pretty embarrassing, to be honest. Everton have shown some good fights, but they keep coming out on the wrong end of 5-goal bloodbaths.
I don't know how they're doing it. They go 2-0 up and then just go, oh, I don't actually want to win.
And as for Southampton, they just don't look right in the Premier League. And I'm not trying to be horrible, they just don't look like they fit. I mean, in certain moments, for half an hour against Manchester United, they played well, but you've got to maintain it. I don't know. I can't predict them both to lose. 1-0 Everton.
I'm leaning towards Everton as well. I know, as you said, they're both without a win, they're both without a draw. It's not a great start in the Prem, but who's been performing better? In my eyes, Everton. I know they have thrown away leads and they've done it so stupidly. But I do think against Southampton, I'm going to make them the favourites. Only slightly, so yeah, I'm saying 1-0. So you said 1-0? Yeah, I agree with you. 1-0.
They could both do with a win to lift the confidence, and they've both got some really big games coming at the weekend. Everton are going to Leicester, Southampton are at home to Ipswich. Look out for the Premier League predictions on Thursday. Next up, Sophie, in the Carabao Cup we have got Preston versus Fulham. It's Championship versus Premier League. Fulham have been pretty good. They'll be frustrated with the late goal they conceded against West Ham United. Preston also drew 1-1. They drew away at Middlesbrough. They've looked fairly good under Heckingbottom, but it's still early days. I think Fulham win, but Preston make it close. I'm going to go for a low-scoring one. Preston 0, Fulham 1.
Yeah, I think the key thing for me in this tie is the fact that Preston are the home team, and I think if they can get their crowd on side, they could make this a very difficult game.
You think?
I think so, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to lean towards them. I just think that I don't think it'd be a massive upset if they were to win this one. They've looked pretty solid in the Championship so far this season, and I think Paul Heckingbottom is doing a pretty decent job. But saying that, Fulham have looked pretty good in the Prem as well this season. They've made a few good signings, and I think when they start to really gel together, I can actually see them improving on how they've started so far. I'm going to say 2-1 Fulham, so I do think it'll be a close game, and I think Preston are going to be very much in it, but I am just going to lean towards the favourites in this one.
Yeah. Share your thoughts on that one, guys. Yeah, I think there's a few games where you could smell an upset, but I've not gone for one just yet.
There will be one somewhere.
Yeah, there will be one somewhere. Will it be at Loftus Road, where Queen's Park Rangers take on Crystal Palace? It's another London derby, and QPR and Palace both involved in games with late drama at the weekend. They both scored in like the final minutes. Palace came back from 2-0 down to draw with Leicester, but Palace are still winless in the Premier League. QPR, they got that late equaliser after Sheffield Wednesday. They looked like they'd got the late winner. I'm going to go for an upset here. QPR have the home advantage. Palace haven't won yet. I don't think they've been at their best. QPR 2, Palace 1.
Oh, okay. I like that they've gone for an upset. I'm going 1-1. I think this is going all the way. Purely because QPR at times have shown that they can be a good team. I like their manager as well. But Crystal Palace, they've got off to a really slow start. I do expect them to improve. They have got some good players. They've got a decent squad. But so far, so bad. And I think you never know. This could be a game that turns it all around because, as you say, you get your first win under your belt, whether that's in the league or in the cup. It does the world of good for the players, for the confidence. I think they're going to do it on penalties. So it's going all the way for me, but then Palace do it on pens.
There you go, Palace to do it on pens. Do share your thoughts on that one, guys. Could be a really interesting matchup. Next up, Soph, we're going to go to Old Trafford, where Manchester United take on Barnsley. Can you smell an upset?
No.
Who knows? Manchester United are so up and down. Let's give them credit, though. They got a really good win at Southampton.
They did.
Yes, Southampton have been terrible, but Manchester United were good. Yeah. And Onana made a penalty save. They got their 2 goals just before half-time, and they got the job done with another late goal. If Manchester United can do what they did in the final 60 minutes of that game more often, I think they could be better than what we might have thought. Barnsley, a little bit hard to predict. They just lost 3-0 to Stevenage. I'm going to go... I think Barnsley are going to be really up for this, even though they've been a bit inconsistent. This is a massive game.
Yeah.
I just think Manchester United's quality is just going to be too much, even if they do rotate.
Yeah.
2-0.
Yeah, I can see United rotating, but again, I think it's just going to be way too much for Barnsley. I mean, massive tie, isn't it? Their fans will be bang up for it as well as the players, and you'd love an upset. I just don't see it happening. I think Man United have way too much quality. So I'm going to chuck in another goal. I'm going to say 3-0, and I think it could be quite a convincing performance.
Yeah, I could see that. It'd be nice for Barnsley to get a goal at least, but...
Yeah, it gives their fans something to celebrate, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, right, on to the next one. This is an interesting one. It's an all Premier League matchup, so it's Brighton versus Wolves. Both sides will be frustrated with their results at the weekend. Wolves were winning against Newcastle and then they went on to lose. Wolves are making a bad habit of conceding late goals, aren't they?
Yeah.
As for Brighton, I thought Brighton were... I suppose a bit unlucky not to break Ipswich down, but you know, if you're Ipswich...
I think Ipswich played really well though, to be fair.
I think if you're Ipswich, you go there and you try and get what you can, and they did. I'm thinking Brighton win. I think Wolves haven't looked great.
They've not.
2-0 Brighton.
Yeah, I think Wolves' form at the moment is a little bit worrying. But I mean, what they can take from some of their performances is at spells they're playing some nice football, they are scoring, but as you say, they're conceding late on and ultimately losing the games and getting nothing from them. So can I see them winning this one? Possibly, but I do think that'd be a bit of an upset. I know it's two Premier League teams going at it, but I do fancy Brighton more. I think they're going to be the favourites in this one. I'm going to say 3-1. I can see there being a few goals in this one. I do think Wolves are going to score, but I think Brighton are going to have too much quality, and at stages, maybe quite late on in the game again, they're going to walk away with it and ultimately progress further.
Yeah, Brighton have been good, and who knows, they might fancy... You know,
going from a 0-0 last game to a 3-1.
Well, but I'm thinking, can they go on a cup run? Can they get some silverware?
Well, yeah, you'd like to see it.
Good enough team. Right, on to the next one. On Wednesday, we will be going to Coventry versus Tottenham. Make sure to subscribe so you can see our match vlog on Wednesday night. Sophie, are you looking forward to it?
I am actually, yeah. I think the game at the weekend has put me in a better mood because we put in a good performance. It was a draw, but now I'm more up for the game against Spurs.
Yes. So Tottenham come into this on the back of losing 1-0 against Arsenal. Yeah. I think Ange has pressure on him to do something this season.
Do you know what he said as well? He
win
said,
a trophy.
He said, I win trophies in the second year, so you think, oh God, he's going to go strong for this.
I think after the slow start to the Premier League, Tottenham have really got to try and go on a cup run as well to try and lift the spirits, because they start in the Europa League next week as well, and if they can win this on Wednesday, they'll be keeping their options open. Coventry... I thought we were a bit better against Watford. I think in the first half we were really good. We showed a real hunger, and it seemed to me as if Mark Robins got into them and they went out there really trying to prove themselves, and I was very happy with that. The only problem was we weren't clinical. We got one goal. If we'd have got a second, it probably would have been enough, but we had to take a 1-1 draw from Watford, which is... It's okay, but we need to get the next win in the league soon. But as for this game, Coventry are strange. We raise our game for the top teams.
We do.
Has this come a little bit early for Coventry in our season? Because we're usually better in the second half of the season. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to say 1-1. And in typical Coventry fashion, Tottenham win on penalties.
Do you know, I was so tempted to say that as well. That would just be a killer. I just don't tend to fancy us at the moment on penalties of the last couple of years. Obviously, I would love us to win. I backed us to lose in the Championship and we got a draw, and I was fairly happy with that. So I'm backing us to lose again in the hope that we somehow win and progress against Spurs. I'm going to say 2-1. I do think that Spurs are going to go quite strong, and despite that, I think we might actually, well, we're going to be without a couple of players. I think Mark Robbins has already confirmed that, without Ben Sheaf and possibly Sakamoto as well. I think it's going to be too soon for them to return. Don't know if we've picked up any more injuries. Hopefully not. Yeah, as I say, I see us losing out on this one, but I think the fact that we're at home, I can see us being in it more. I think the crowd's going to be up for it. Hopefully the players going to be up for it as well. But sadly, I just see us missing out, so 2-1 Spurs.
2-1. And it will be interesting to see the return of James Maddison to Coventry. Next up then, and we go to AFC Wimbledon versus Newcastle. It's a David versus Goliath matchup in this competition. Can Wimbledon do it? They're currently in League 2, Sophie. Newcastle, on the other hand, flying in the Premier League. Is there any way they can cause an upset, Wimbledon?
They had a massive result on the weekend, didn't they?
They did, yeah. That does need a mention. They beat MK Dons, which I think most of the football world is happy to see.
Yeah, I am.
I'm going to give Wimbledon a goal, but let's be honest, Newcastle have got to have their eyes on winning a cup soon.
I agree.
Wimbledon 1, Newcastle 3.
Yeah, I'm going to chuck in another goal. I'm going to say 4-1 Newcastle. I think Wimbledon are going to have times where they're in the game, but Newcastle, they just look very good, and I think they're going to take this cup very seriously this year. They might rest a couple of players, but I can see them still going quite strong, and that's why I'm going quite high on the scoreline. So yeah, 4-1.
4-1. Share your thoughts. On to the next one. Another League 2 team, Sophie. Barrow go away to Chelsea. This would be some upset. I just don't
Chelsea
see
win.
it. Oh yeah, if Chelsea win, yeah. This would be some upset if Barrow win, is what I meant. I don't know if I see it. I think Chelsea are another one that have got to be like, well,
Weird.
We could win this cup this year. I think I'd be happy, to be honest, if anyone but Manchester City win it. And it's not that I hate Man City, it's just they always sort of win these cups. So any of the other so-called top 8 have got to think, let's go for it. Should we give Barrow a goal? Yeah, go on. Chelsea 4, Barrow 1.
I'm saying 3-0 Chelsea, so same scoreline. I think it'd be mental if Barrow were to get a goal, especially if they were to go 1-0 up as well. I think that'd just be crazy. I'd love that for the fans, but I do think Chelsea are just going to have too much. As you said, I think they're going to be taking this cup quite seriously this year. They've got to be looking at getting some silverware for the money spent. Yeah, that's why I'm going to go 3-0. I think they will have quite a few of their key players out there, but they've got a massive squad either way if they did rotate. So
yeah, that's very true. Okay, next up it's another League 2 versus Premier League matchup as Walsall take on Leicester. A bit of a Midlands derby, I suppose. I think this one might be a little bit closer. Leicester City will definitely have one eye on the Everton game at the weekend. I think they've been good so far, by the way, in the Premier League. They really should have got something against Palace. Walsall are not a bad team. I think they've played all right at stages in League 2. Walsall 0, Leicester 2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how serious Leicester take this, because I think ultimately main goal has got to be staying up in the Prem this season. So will they possibly rest some players, especially because they're playing against a team quite a few leagues below them? I think they will rotate slightly. I still fancy them though, so I'm going to say 3-0 Leicester. I think there could be a few goals. I was half tempted to give Walsall a goal, but I do think that if they play some of their stronger defenders, they'll keep a clean sheet. So yeah, 3-0.
3-0, yeah. All right, well, share your thoughts on that one. Does feel like a fairly safe bet once again, but who knows? Next up, Wickham take on Aston Villa, League 1 Wickham. They've been pretty decent at times, a little bit inconsistent. They've had some really difficult games at the start of this season. Meanwhile, Aston Villa, of course, starting in the Champions League this season, they've got lots of things going on. I wonder if they won't have much concentration on this cup and potentially Wickham cause an upset.
Possibly.
No, I'm not going to go for it. I'm going to wimp out and say Wickham 1, Villa 3, just because Villa have so much quality even in their squad depth as well.
Exactly, and I think it's their depth that are leading me to say they're going to win pretty comfortably 2-0. As you say, I think they probably will rest a few of their key players. I think they'll rest quite a few actually. As you say, they've got the Champions League, all eyes on that. So I don't know how seriously they're going to take it, but either way, because they've got that squad depth, I think their second team would win.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2-0.
2-0. Yep. Okay, next up, Safe. Another Premier League versus League 1 matchup as Arsenal host Bolton. And Bolton, in the previous weekend in League 1, lost 4-0 at home to Huddersfield. And one of the goals was absolutely
it was dreadful,
horrendous.
wasn't it? Yeah.
I do wonder, by the time this game rolls around, will Ian Evatt still be there? Because things are looking really bad.
I agree.
The thing is, they've got decent players like Dion Charles and Aaron Collins, but they're taking on bloody Arsenal. And Arsenal are just this superpower now. 4-0.
5-0. I could see this being quite heavy, purely because, but look at how Bolton played at the weekend. If they've not learned any lessons from that, they will get absolutely hammered by this Arsenal team who I thought they might struggle with a couple of their key players in the North London derby. They didn't. It was quite comfortable. I know the scoreline wasn't dramatic. It was 1-0, but ultimately that's 3 points away from home. So playing against Bolton, the way Bolton are playing, I could see it's being heavy. As I say, 5-0.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, 5-0 sounds outrageous, but when it's Arsenal against a League One opposition, maybe not. Okay, next up, Sophie, Manchester City take on Watford. I'll keep this short, I'll keep this brief. Manchester City usually go quite far in these competitions. I think it will be quite straightforward, and that's nothing against Watford, it's just Manchester City are so predictably good against lower league opposition. Watford, we did see them at the weekend against Coventry. I thought they played okay, and they have had a good start to the season, but Man City 3-0.
Man City. I'm actually going to give Watford a goal. I'm saying 3-1 Man City, but I think there may be a lapse in concentration, possibly early on. We have seen that from Man City a couple of times this season. They go a goal behind. So I wouldn't be surprised if Watford actually do take the lead in this one early on, and then Man City turn it on and then win 3-1. But I think Watford are more than capable of turning up, giving them a good game. At the end of the day, though, it's Man City. That's all that needs to be said. So.
Too powerful.
Yeah.
The final game then, Sophie, is an all Premier League matchup as Liverpool take on West Ham United. Liverpool, their most recent result in the Premier League coming to this one was a 1-0 defeat at home to Forest. Not great. West Ham, meanwhile, they got a draw 1-1 away at Fulham. Late goal through Danny Ings. I'm interested to see how Slot approaches these cup games, because Jurgen Klopp was not always the biggest fan, even though he did win this competition a couple of times, I believe. Let's go Liverpool 2, West Ham 1.
Yeah, I'm going for the same scoreline. I think Slot will be looking for a bit of a reaction after that defeat at home. And as you said, West Ham are coming into this on the back of a draw against Fulham. They managed to nick an equaliser. I think they played quite well. I don't think Liverpool played their best, but I know it can be hard sometimes when teams set up quite defensive. It's quite hard to break them down. You've got to give credit to Forest for getting that result over the line. So sure. I think this game might be a little bit more open, and that's going to suit Liverpool a little bit more. So as you say, 2-1 Liverpool. 2-1
Liverpool, there you go. We're both back in the Reds, and that wraps up the Carabao Cup third round predictions. Do be sure to share your predictions down in the comments, guys. I'll list the 16 games in the description, so copy and paste that into the comments and let me know what you think the scores will be. Please make sure you've hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds and it really is appreciated. It helps the video out and it helps us out if you subscribe as well. And thank you to those of you guys that have already subscribed. But if you're watching and you haven't, get involved. We will be back with more predictions later in the week. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.